What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about the Houston Rockets. Again, I know Russell Westbrook, I know James Harden, and it hurts me to say this, but I didn't say it that long ago as they was in the game 7 against the Oklahoma City Thunder with a chance to lose, and I thought that I should tell you guys, is it time to end the James Harden era of the Houston Rockets? I know a lot of people think I'm crazy and a lot of people don't like it, but when you look at the fact that he's getting older, not only is he in his 30s, yeah, I know he's the leading scorer. Yes, I know he's one of the top 5 players in the league, and you want to keep them as long as you can because they are the reason why you win championships because you need a guy that can create and dominate. But James Harden has shown, and this is a year where he could have went out in the first round, and this is a year that he won't even get to the Western Conference Finals. He got there with Dwight, he got there with Chris Paul, but the biggest problem is the money. How can they put a competitive championship team around Russell and Harden? And the reason why I make a big deal out of it is because these guys are locked in long term, a couple more years under their current contract, and they have shown that they might not be good enough to get it done. They traded Clint Capella to go all in on micro ball, and they only won one game so far in the second round with a chance to be eliminated in 5 games to the Lakers. The problem is the West is only getting stronger. The West is only getting more powerful, even at the bottom. Those teams got multiple All-Star caliber players, and it's going to be tough. Now, I'm not saying the Rockets are going to be out of the playoffs. I'm not saying that the Rockets suck. I'm just saying that they're caught in no man's land. They're in a situation where they only can get so much better, but they can't get significantly better to a point where they can get to a championship level unless somebody requests that they want to go to the Rockets and the Rockets just match salary and add them to their roster. But even then, they will lose some of their depth, even though they're not one of the deepest teams already in the league. They will have to lose that to up the ante. I know they tried to get the Bosch. I know they tried to find a way to get Jimmy Butler, but they failed. Even though they got Russell Westbrook, he made them decent. Chris Paul made them into a championship contender. Dwight Howard made them into one of the best teams in the West. And Russell Westbrook, they are one of the best teams in the West. But I looked at this team each and every year as a team that's great. And when they got Chris Paul, I looked at it like they can win it all, possibly. Obviously, they still had to go through the Warriors, and they didn't get it done because of the injury. But they did bring them 2 back, and they lost in the second round, just like with Russ. And it do make you wonder, can you win a championship with James Harden as your best player? Because they haven't been able to get it done. They've been running it back, retooling, trying this, trying that, and they consistently keep coming up short every single season, and they have never even reached the NBA Finals with him as their best player. And I love James Harden. Like I said, he is one of the top 5, top 7 players in the world. Absolutely unguardable. Can really give teams problems, but he does have moments where they need him the most and he doesn't step up. They do have multiple problems when they need him the most and they need him to take his game to another level in the postseason because he hasn't played terrible this postseason, but it's still going to end in the same result. And if you Daryl Morey, you have to take some blame because you have been putting the pieces around. You have hired Mike D'Antoni. That hasn't worked, so it makes it seem like it's his fault. Obviously, if Mike D'Antoni loses in 5, he most likely will be fired. And they already been discussing that for years. And his contract is basically up. So even if he doesn't win, he can basically walk and go to a different team and try something new instead of keep trying to play with this Rockets team that he hasn't been able to get over the hump. And that's the saddest part about the Rockets is because they've been an interesting team. They've been a controversial team. They've been an exciting team. And they've been one of the fun teams to watch throughout these last couple years. But they continue to fail and become elite, and that does have something to do with ownership and management, and they do have something to do with Harden. Every time we look around, we're putting somebody new, we're changing this, we're trying that, and at the end of the day, they continue not to get it done, which is win a title, and that's what they're supposed to be trying to do. They have had good fortune being able to trade for a guy like Harden, being able to literally become one of the best teams in the West year in and year out. but they have consistently come up short time and time again. And now it's getting to the point where they're not even getting to the Western Conference Finals. And that's even worse because you should at least get there when you have two All-Star caliber players that are former MVPs and not that long ago removed from that. And they not even going to win two games possibly. Now, even if they lose in six, I don't really think that changes anything just because they still lost the series and they're not going to the finals, which is a failure. I know you want to put the best team you can on the court and live with the results, but if the results are continually coming back the same, it do make you wonder what else can we do? What else can we try to get the job done? And I'm a brother, and I'm a person that knows James Harden a lot, and it does hurt me to say that they're not getting it done. He's one of the best players in the NBA history, one of the best scorers in NBA history, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But it is getting to the point where Harden has did basically everything you can do individually, Olympic, All-Star, everything besides win a championship. That's the only thing that's left on James Harden resume is an NBA championship. And they even traded Chris Paul because they wanted to keep Harden happy and they got Russell Westbrook. And to me, and people might not like this, I think they got worse, if anything, just because Westbrook not only did he come with an injury, he didn't really play that well in the playoffs so far. He had some good games and he had some terrible games and he has lost them games. And that's not something that I think will be changing because that's just who Russell Westbrook is. But the fact that they went to a 5 seed, I believe, and they struggled to even get out of the first round, and then they won game one and lost three straight, and it looks like the Lakers are significantly better than them. It just makes you wonder in the next 2 years, if they don't make a huge monumental trade that can alter this franchise into a different direction, they don't look like a legitimate contender in the future. They're going to be one of the better teams in the West, but they don't look like a team that can possibly win at all. They give team matchup problems, but they are predictable. They are a team that doesn't really change or adjust or make any significant changes that can alter a series. And that's one of the reasons why they continue to come up short, too. They play one way, and if that one way works, they're champions. But if it doesn't, they don't have a way to change gears. They don't have a way to go in a different direction, and it has been their Achilles heel because their way hasn't worked. I know that we criticize people even like Golden State, a jump shooting team can't win a title, but they play defense. They play elite defense, and when Rockets play defense, they was one game away from being in the NBA Finals, and they have regressed from that each and every season to the point where they're not a great defensive team anymore, and they're not a locked-in, focused, competitive team anymore. They can give you a run for your money. They can get hot, but that's still that live by the three, die by the three. You have to have alternatives. You have to have different approaches depending on what team you're going against, what lineups you're going against, and what style of play you're going against for that particular series. And that's what the playoffs are. And they do not change or adjust to anything. And they just literally go live by this one style. And Mike D'Antoni has been known as a stubborn coach. He has been known as an offensive coach, and he hasn't changed at all in this system, and he hasn't changed at all with his system. He hasn't changed at all as a coach, and he has shown over these last couple years that he hasn't been able to get this Rocket team over the hump into a championship, but that has been his whole career as a coach. Now, I like Mike D'Antoni. I respect Mike D'Antoni, and I think he will be an NBA coach again if he does get fired. But honestly, like we say with Tibbs, is either you adjust or you change, or you're going to continue to have the same problem. That's how they always say. You're never going to get anywhere unless you realize what the problem is, and the problem might be you. If you don't look in the mirror, you might never find that answer. You might continue to soul search or might continue to go through the same hole over and over again until you fix that problem. And if you don't, you're just going to be trapped. So to me, I think the Rockets are still going to be one of the playoff teams, but I really want to see if Daryl Morey is going to be here. I really want to see if they're going to keep Mike D'Antoni, and if they do, what are they going to do now? You changed the team. What you got Westbrook? You changed it again, getting rid of Capella, and you got the same result. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to change and make them altering changes, supposed to change the trajectory of your franchise. That's the whole point of the trade, to get better or find a way to get more assets. They got the player that they wanted in the offseason. They helped his offense and his game a lot, getting rid of Clint Capella. And now they're in a situation where they got a team where it hasn't been good enough, hasn't been great throughout the whole season. And even with Westbrook playing his best basketball, I never was really scared of the Rockets, but I have respect for them. And the Lakers have respected them as competition, but they also have found a way to adjust, putting going smaller and finding ways to get quality shots while the Rockets are still living and dying by their style of play, and it hasn't gave them any championships, so it's a failure. But if they get rid of D'Antoni, will they change their style of play? Will they keep Russell Westbrook? If they do, will that be enough? Those are legitimate questions, and that's an answer that we have to find out, because if they have this team intact and they can't get over the hump with this team, the Russell Westbrook, Dwight Howard, and Chris Paul era all have failed because they are all gone. And Westbrook only has, I think, 2 or 3 years left on his contract, and he's only getting older. He hasn't got any better besides when he was attacking the paint, but he wasn't getting better. Just the team change that allowed him to play that type of style, which enhanced his game. But also Harden did start struggling while Westbrook was striving. That's not how it's supposed to be. They're supposed to be able to play off of each other and make each other better, but that still hasn't been able to happen consistently enough to where they have become a dominant duo. So, Rockets fans, let me know what you guys think. Do you want to try something different? Do you think they should give up on Westbrook experiment? Do you think they should change their coach? Maybe that's the problem. Should they change their style of play? Or should they eventually get rid of James Harden because he hasn't been able to get y'all to the promised land, which is a championship? It's not easy to win a championship. It's the hardest thing to do. And I'm not saying that James Harden isn't a superstar player because he can't get one. It just the team isn't playing well enough, consistently enough, especially for 48 minutes. And honestly, I don't think the Harden and Westbrook fit has been that great. But if they want to try it again and run it back next year, they're going to have to make some changes so that way they can be a better team in the playoffs, and they can have alternative just in case they need to go in a different direction in certain matchups. And that might be getting rid of D'Antoni, or that might be trying to make some more roster changes. The only problem is a lot of their players either about to be gone or they don't have high trade value, which means it's going to be hard to upgrade or change this roster significantly like they just did this season, but it didn't work. Now they're stuck because Harden makes so much money, Westbrook makes so much money, and their owner don't want to pay the tax. They're in a situation, in my personal opinion. But they're on the verge of blowing this team up in the future as their two superstars are only getting older, and they still haven't even came close this year to getting a job done and even getting to the conference finals. They haven't did that in the last 3 years because they didn't do it this year or last year, and they did do it 3 years ago, but they did lose in 7 to the Warriors. So let me know what you guys think. Check out my website, analysisplayeron.com. Check out my link for my Facebook page in the comment section below, analysisplayground.com. Like on Facebook to show support. Not only that, I have over 1,000 videos, so if you like basketball, you can't get enough of it. I have breakdowns of players, legends, and coaches. Players, legends, and rookies. Also, Summer League breakdown. I cover Summer League. I cover the draft, free agency, trade deadline. Also, season previews, playoff prediction, top 10 lists. So if you love basketball, you need that daily fix. I do make videos every day about the NBA. But other than that, merchandise will be in the description. You can also buy it on Facebook. Message me on Facebook or purchase it on Spreadshirt. Quinn, basketball analysis. I'm gone. And I'll be back to y'all tomorrow with a playoff prediction because the Heat series will be starting this week coming up. So y'all be having my playoff prediction for the Toronto Heat or the Celtics Heat, whoever win the game 7 today. I'll be making a playoff prediction for that Saturday. And also, if you like this video and you want to check out my older videos and you like those, subscribe. Also, like the video and share because it reach more people. It helps me grow and allow me to get bigger. And that's a small thing I ask you guys to do to help the channel out if you don't want to buy anything or support that way. Liking and sharing is just equally as important. But other than that, Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, I'm gone.